Well, welcome back to Gopher's Workshop. I'm your host, Aaron, and joining me as always is my fellow host, Chris.
Good morning.
And Sky.
It smells in here.
What? Oh, no. Oh, gross.
That's right. It's on theme.
It's very on theme. So, speaking of theme, today we're doing our Death Guard Codex review, aren't we, Chris?
We are ye old smelly boys.
You sound so excited about this.
Reddit always gets me excited.
Yeah, I even skipped my shower to get ready for this one.
I haven't showered in 2 weeks. I got you beat.
Are you kidding? I wipe back to front. Come on.
Well, on that note, I guess it's Death Guard Codex review, Chris.
I hate it. Also the Codex, you're right. So no, the Codex is actually not bad in a very different way than World Eaters. So the thing that's going to, burn my soul, Reddit technically isn't wrong this time. They are still wrong.
Oh, there it is.
Their reasoning is wrong. Their end result ended up not being wrong. They accidentally got it right.
They accidented into this.
In general, Reddit seems to love this codex. As we were getting information, they still had a roller coaster. It was kind of frustrating to watch Death Guard players, even in our own Discord, but who are watching the internet, be like, oh man, Death Guard are amazing. And then you get another spoiler and they're like, never mind, Death Guard are terrible. And then 2 days later, there's another spoiler and they're like, we're back. It's the best. It's like, all right, would you calm down? But anyway, beyond that roller coaster, the all-encompassing opinion of the internet is that the Death Guard Codex is really good. And I think they are technically correct. And I'm going to say that it's really good for the primary purpose of the points are low on most of these data sheets. But it's not that they're so low, it's broken and inappropriate. All of these are kind of appropriately low. The World Eaters were really good because they had these amazing abilities and they were so powerful. But in doing so, they were 50 points a model and they were real expensive, and so you were playing super elitist. In this one, most of the abilities feel very kind of mild. Some of them are even feeling kind of mediocre. But also, when each character is 50 points, who cares if their ability is only kind of good? It's not amazing. At 50 points for a character, that's fine with me. Some of the cheapest characters for how much they do in the game. Right? So, upside and downside. Upside, I don't think this codex is necessarily going to get nerfed all that much. That's assuming Reddit shuts the hell up.
That won't happen.
You're right. But right now, there's a couple of things that are going on Reddit. First off, World Eaters, people are coming around to it. They're realizing it's better than they thought it was. Also, Death Guard is specifically kind of getting talked about of oh man, but Death Guard are going to be amazing. And they technically, I just saw, they already won a GT. Do I think that means anything? Absolutely not. No one has had time to understand the rules. This was the same as when Eldar came out, and it's all new to people, so they don't know how to respond to it yet. Give it some time. Things will kind of smooth themselves out. But as long as the whole internet stops saying, oh man, the new bloat drones are way too undercosted, but I don't think they are. You want to adjust it by 5 or 10 points? Sure. You want to adjust it by 25 points, which is basically what everyone is saying they want? I think that's too much. And the reality is, get some more games in, because I got to play against these last night, and it turns out they're good. They're still random. It's not that great. So again, everything in this codex is pretty reasonable. It's not necessarily exciting. It's not holy cow, did you see what this thing can do? It's just like, that seems pretty good. But because everything is got that kind of mild, just enough utility to be good and playable, the points are cheap. So Death Guard are going to have way more models than the World Eaters, which is actually really good for them because they're tougher, right? Like they're slower, which is why their points are so low. And you're that much tougher. All I need is more models. You don't have enough bullets because you're wounding on 5s too often, or you're, things like that.
I always saw them as similar to Custodes. Like, even if you do everything right, there's still like half the army on the table. It's just how it is.
Yeah, you're right. And a lot of people I've heard are comparing them to Custodes. And that's part of the reason that they're upset with the points, is because they're like, oh man, you're like Custodes toughness because you're T6 or whatever, but you're way cheaper. And the reality is, yes, they literally have T6. They are Custodes toughness. They're not actually Custodes tough, right? They don't, despite being Nurgle, they have way less like relevant feel no pains. They have like, they're only 3-up armor on their T6 guys instead of 2-up armor. Like you start taking the Terminators and the fact that they're so much slower and don't have access to the advance and charge like Custodes have, and they don't have as many reactionary moves as Custodes, things like that. So a lot of people are comparing them to Custodes because they're T6, because they're supposed to be tough. But the reality is they're way cheaper than Custodes, and it's not actually bad. That is pretty reasonable because they're not actually as tough as Custodes. They're not supposed to be either.
Right.
Also, they're way slower.
But they are fast enough to fight first once a game.
You're right. And so this is another good example. The Reddit is basically saying that they got a bunch of nerfs. Realistically, I don't know if they did, but one of the primary examples is they had a fights first character that now got changed to once per game fights first. But as you could ask our Blood Angels player, when you have a once per game fights first, that's probably all you needed, right? Like it's nice to have fights first more than once per game, but the times where fights first is relevant and like I need it or I die, once per game is enough. So as long as you're playing well and not just like using it willy-nilly, you can absolutely, it's just as good as it was before, but now he's cheaper. Whereas like if I had fights first all the time, well, sure, now that's great, but also did I really need fights first when you're like tank charged me? He wasn't going to do anything to me anyway. Again, technically a nerf. Technically Reddit is complaining about it, but is it actually like a problem? No, not at all.
No.
I would rather have this be once per game in order to justify its cheapness, because you can do little things like that throughout the whole codex, which arguably they did. And now I get like 3 extra units for no reason. Hell yeah, that sounds great. I would do that with every faction.
I think it's pretty clear they're just making a lot of the codexes. You just have to think more to play them right.
Yep. And that sounds like the best thing possible for the game to me, right? Like you're playing orcs, he's playing Blood Angels, I'm playing whatever. Like the ability for us as players to like make decisions that feel more relevant is way better than, hey, but my stat line says you're fucked. Like that's just a better game for everyone involved. So
speaking of stat lines, did they up the toughness? Because it seems like toughness crept up by 1, and I was just curious if they did for Death Guard.
Yes. So basically across the board, there are some exceptions, right? Like Poxwalker's still T3. There's a whole bunch of like little things that they didn't adjust. Some of the vehicles are still the same toughness, like the Land Raider or whatever. But across the board, just assume they got +1 toughness. Also assume they got at least 1 inch slower.
Oh, they got slower. Okay.
Yeah. So basically all their, like the Terminators are still 5-inch move, but they've kind of shown a trend of like, but we're going to make Terminators across the board move 6. They stayed T5 here. So I'm going to argue that's a -1 speed. Yes, it's the same as
5-inch move.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry. Technically, they're the same speed as regular Space Marines right now, but I don't think that's going to last whenever they do the next update on those. But yeah, their basic troops like Plague Marines are only move 5 now instead of 6. There is a character that allows you to get +1 move, but effectively that's only going to apply to your Plague Marines because that's all you can attach to. So you could still end up with 6-inch move, but you're paying a tax for that. Almost all their vehicles slow down by like 2 inches. So not all of them, but most of them. So yeah, a massive stat line reworks kind of across the board. And it has mostly to do with toughness and movement speed. But there were a few things that like changed the amount of wounds they have and stuff like that too.
So I kind of like this though on the lore side of things because they're naturally slower. I mean, they're deformed, discussing diseased, ridden characters.
Yep.
So they're going to be a little bit tougher because they don't care about pain is the answer.
Yes. And just like World Eaters, a lot of this is on theme, right? The new World Eaters characters, the Apothecary, and you kind of needed to know the lore to know why it was on theme, but it definitely was. And I think there's a lot of things in here that, again, maybe you don't need to know the lore as well, right? Because it's like you said, it's like, no, they're gross and disgusting, but also they're like tougher because they don't care.
Yep.
There's less lore that's required, but also still very on theme. It all makes a lot of sense.
Well, and it's looking back now, especially with these 2 current codex reviews we've done, looking back on all of the codexes that have been coming out. I mean, Blood Angels, faster. You know, fights first. You can spam fights first in it. Yeah, it's because they're faster. You know, you've got...
But they're faster in like a swordsman way, right?
Exactly.
Like that's what they're trying to get across. Of like, no, but these guys in general are veterans and they're very like not only melee oriented, but they're doing it in like a controlled rage sort of way. So that's why they get fights first. You know, Nurgle being slower, again, that makes sense. But also the fact that they're so much tougher, it actively changes kind of the mindset as to how you play them, right?
Yep.
When you're playing Death Guard, I know I'm slower than every other Marine out there. As a matter of fact, 6-inch move is like a standard troop movement. I'm slower than even the non-Marines out there, I'm going to assume. And now that that's true, what does that mean? It means I immediately, I'm not trying to turn one charge. Could I do it? Could I like find a scout move or an infiltrate with, the Poxwalkers and like attempt to turn one? Sure. But also, I'm not even going to pretend that that's my job. I'm so slow. I know my job is to like churn the midboard, fight over the objectives, be tougher, stand there longer. And that works perfectly for them. Not only is it on theme, but that is kind of the appropriate way to play them. And now your rules kind of match the play style. So for those of us that have multiple factions, this is where the more on theme the factions are, the more when I bounce between factions, it's not, oh, I see you're doing the Marine thing. Well, I'm doing the Necron thing. That's basically the same detachment. We're both playing, the Firestorm detachment or whatever it is, right? Like, there's a whole bunch of certain things in this game for a little bit early in the edition were feeling very similar. And as we're getting these newer codexes, I don't know if there was a change in mentality or management or whatever, but these are feeling more on theme. They're also feeling a little more diverse. As Sky said, they're also feeling a little more player intensive. The player has to actually do the right thing. You can't just throw it at the wall and assume it'll work. But all that is going in the right direction. Love where we're going. So
good job, GW.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Good job, GW. Reddit will also hate me for that. It's fine. So going through the rest of this codex, there's a few other kind of highlights, we'll say. The contagion mechanic is technically the same core mechanic, but it has adjusted. So their faction rule is contagion/afflict. And basically it's still a contagion range that grows over the course of the battle. But now in addition to the -1 toughness, they get a choice of an additional effect from their contagion range. Also, there's a ton of other ways in this codex to afflict things. So even if they're not in contagion range, you can, at least temporarily, that thing counts as afflicted. So they'll get the debuffs. A lot of stacking debuffs in this. Pretty solid stuff. The drones got kind of split up into two different data sheets. Before, it was take a drone, and then here's like a bunch of warrior options. There is still arguably that data sheet of take a drone, here's a couple of options, but then they gave us a separate data sheet for here's the third option, and it's standalone, you don't get options. But that's fine, they have different abilities and kind of different jobs. The short answer is spam drones. They're kind of crazy right now. Again, I think it's appropriately crazy. I hope their points don't get adjusted too hard. But with the way Reddit is talking and not heeding their own folly, deck and detachment, they're going to complain enough that we're probably going to see a bigger price hike than we want as far as points. But hopefully they calm down and learn from their previous mistake. Because again, are they good right now? Yes, absolutely. Play them like crazy. Are they so crazy that they need to go up a ton of points? I don't think that's true.
I was going to say, after seeing them twice now hit the table and fight a couple different people, they're good. They're really good. Absolutely take them. I'm agreeing with you. They don't need to go up so crazy. They're not that great.
If they go up 5 points, 10 points, I'm not mad about that, right? Like they're getting spammed by 3 probably. And because of that, arguably going up 5 or 10 points to like, but no, I can't fit my second Poxwalker unit. Like, you know what? That might be reasonable. Oh man, I have to lose this enhancement in order to get all 3 of them. Again, fair trades. That's probably okay. If you put them up 25 points apiece, so effectively, like I lose a whole Plague Burst Crawler in order to fit 3 of them in here. All right, that seems excessive. They're not that good. Again, they're good. They're not that good. Currently, they're 100 points for the Heavy Blight launcher, which is the one that's being spammed by 3. Usually people are taking some of the non-Heavy Blight launchers in addition, but those are getting played like 1 or 2 of. It depends on if it fits in the list sort of thing.
Yep.
It's fine. But yeah, so the other thing we got is just like World Eaters, they got one new big character. And when I say big character, he's still just a regular Plague Marine guy, arguably. But the Lord of Poxes is actually awesome in this codex. I'm not joking. He is great. So for starters, they kind of falsely advertised him. And this is GW's fault, but he's got this big honking sword, and they're before we knew anything about this data sheet, they basically said like, oh man, that huge sword is going to be like the best thing you have access to, and it's totally going to murder characters and blah, blah, blah. First off, it doesn't have precision. It effectively has a lot of attacks, which is cool, but it's still basically a Power Fist stat line, 822. It's all right. I'm not mad about it, right? He's pretty reasonably costed, I think. He might even be just a touch too expensive, but he's crazy good. Here's why. Let's start with Death Guard are supposed to be tough, right? And he's T6. He's tough. Sounds great. But amongst all their characters, we'll specifically say non-Terminator characters, they don't actually have a ton of involves. Between the Plaguecaster and the Blightbringer and a bunch of other gross names, whatever they are, there actually isn't hardly any involves. Lord of Poxes actually has a 4-up invol. It's not just a invol, but like a good one. So he is objectively tougher than most of the other characters you can put in Plague Marines for that reason alone. Pretty solid. He is very scary in combat. Again, Power Fist attacks hitting on 2s with 6 whole attacks. Has lethal and devastating wounds. It's a good weapon. It's not the character hunting monster that they talked about, but it's still pretty solid. But here's why I think he's extra good. His abilities are not only on theme, but are, I would argue, incredibly powerful. The first one is he adds 3 inches to the contagion range for the unit. Okay, well, first off, that's their whole mechanic, right? So not only is it increasing the core mechanic, but it basically, if you're normally playing, it's like 3, 6, and 9 inch range. Well, immediately we break the cap that we had before, and it's already going from like 9 to 12. That's pretty solid. But more importantly, it applies to every model in the unit. It's not like he has a bigger range. So if you put him out on the edge, it reaches a little farther. If you put him with a 10-man brick, even on turn 2, where you're supposed to be 6, you end up being 9. And then like some detachments have stratagems for increasing the range further, etc. Like one unit could basically contagion range or afflict most of the front line of the enemy. That's pretty solid.
And that's big.
You're right. Multiple debuffs, -1 toughness, which you always get, and then another one of your choice, which is probably, let's say, -1 to hit, or you could choose the like -1 to saves, which is surprisingly good. It's solid in its own. But then he has a second ability, which is where he becomes like very flexible in what he does. He also, if you don't have him with, like, you can have him with the 10-man and do this, but it's better if you're like doing min squads. He gives that unit 18-inch loan up. Also,
what?
You're right. So you take a 10-man brick and you contagion range everybody, or you put him in like a 5-man competitively, right? You could still put him in 10. It still applies there technically. But you put him in a 5-man, and now it becomes really easy to like, no, you can't shoot me, haha. Super good. The part of the reason this is crazy, right, is because I call it 18-inch lone op, because that's effectively what it is. But it's not actually lone operative. So that means like, oh, you brought the Vindicare who ignores lone op. Well, it turns out it's not actually lone op. You still can't shoot Lord of Poxes with Vindicare. Hilarious.
That's so funny.
Oh, that's so ridiculous.
You're right. Again, an extremely good character. But again, we're like extremely good. But is he broken? No. He's got 18-inch loan up. If you put him in a 10-man squad, damn near everyone's going to be within 18 inches of like a model in the unit. Adding to contagion range is pretty good, but does contagion range actually equate to damage because the -1 toughness and saves? Maybe. But the reality is like, it's helping me roll a little better. And the -1 toughness might not actually change my wound rolls. So it's not like a direct damage increase. It's a hopefully damage increase. Super, super good. So obviously after the break, we'll talk about kind of my favorites and kind of my least favorites, because I know everybody kind of wants to hear an alternate opinion than Reddit, especially me. But overall, I think the Codex is very good. I'm not going to say great. I'm not going to say it's meta warping like they were saying before it released. It is very good. In addition to that, it is, I would argue, very stable. World Eaters, we had point changes shortly after we put out or shortly after we recorded the review. So a bunch of things changed. And I still think if we're talking about abilities, I still have my favorites. But with the points adjustments, like the Lord of Skulls went up by like 40 or 50 points, might have been more. Okay, that's a pretty big jump, right? So like maybe he's more or less takeable because, again, he just jumped 50 points. I don't think this codex, with the exception of Reddit complaining, will see that many points changes. And when they do, it's going to be pretty minor stuff. Because again, they have all these abilities, but the abilities are kind of, they're reasonable. They're a little contained. They're a little more, we made it once per game, so it can't be too much of a problem. I think any points changes that happen to Death Guard are going to be relatively minor, and thus that makes this whole codex way more stable in the long term. If I'm playing World Eaters, or let's say I'm playing Space Wolves or whatever else, like I expect kind of wild points jumps as people figure out, no, this unit's better than we thought, or into this meta because it's shifted into MSU or tanks or whatever. like this unit's become a problem. I don't think you're going to see that. I think kind of regardless of the meta, you're going to see some people switching between detachments and doing some different game plans. But as far as regardless of what game plan they're playing, I think the points are really minor adjustments the whole time. I don't think you're going to see any big swings.
So you're saying we're going to get, if we get a point update, it's going to be Blood Angel style. Like a few units are going to get a few points, increase or decrease.
Yeah. And
I like that.
I would argue in this whole codex, there's basically 2, maybe 3 big models that have enough of, or I should say data sheets, not models, but there's like 2 or 3 that have such a like volume of dice that you could argue they make a big enough impact to where a real point swing might happen. But when you look at every other codex, like World Eaters, man, they've got like 20 some data sheets. Well, there's like 10 of them that swing pretty hard. Any one of those could go for a big points jump one way or the other. Here, like Mortaria, he's a Primarch. He's a big monster bear. He could go for a big points jump potentially. But as much as that could for him, like there's 0 chance that we're going to see a big points jump for regular Plague Marines or a big points jump for the Plague Caster or Poxwalkers, right? Like they're all so reserved in their rules that even if they're good, even if they're spammed like crazy, yeah, but like 5 points a min unit or like 10 points a min unit, that's probably enough. And that by itself, as a, like, if I were a Death Guard player, I would love that so much because there's no chance that, like, again, Reddit complaining or whatever else, I don't know that you're going to see a giant swing. Which means my model count, the amount of money that money I need to put into buying new units when the meta shifts is lower. I, as a Death Guard player, feel more stable in my purchases as well as my list building. I'm happy with that.
Well then.
Yeah,
sounds like Death Guard got the good.
They did. And again, this is where it's really funny and weird because they got, again, almost everything they wanted. I would argue there's so much about this that is like, this sounds really good for the Death Guard player. Obviously, nothing is as flashy as World Eaters. Nothing is like, holy cow, look at the infinite amount of, damage or movement or whatever that you could get out of some of these other factions. So it's less flashy, but it's so stable. As like a competitive player myself, this seems better in every way to me. Again, I don't play Chaos, but if I did, while it's really flashy to play World Eaters, while Emperor's Children is new and shiny and still good, it turns out I'm not sure that if I put a Emperor's Children list together, that I wouldn't have to buy a bunch of new models as soon as we get the next points update. Death Guard, no questions asked. Like, unless I'm playing again like Mortarion, maybe the Great Unclean one, I don't have the big enough model to justify a big point swing. My list is probably good. All right, so let's do the break thing, and we'll come back and go over the shiny bits and the dull bits in the old Death Guard.
Woohoo! All right, we're going to a mid-break. All right, here we are. You know what we have to do first? We got to thank our patrons. And in this case, we have to thank our very special patron. Our one and only patron for now, Mitch, our White Shield Guardsman. So thank you, Mitch, for being fantastic and lovely and amazing.
The chosen one.
If you want to become a patron, you can always head on over to patreon.com/Gophers Workshop. and join us there. Go check things out. We've got all kinds of different tiers, different goodies for you to pick from. One of them is you can make Chris cringe when you send him your list. You can send him ridiculous lists. It's fine.
I'm here to help. And if you send me a ridiculous list, I will, I guess, help. But also for those that are trying to get better, that is my goal in life at the moment. It's to help other people have a better understanding of the game, help them get to the place they want to be, both for themselves in the game, but also against their friends, and maybe even a little better.
I mean, he makes it sound less fun, but yes. No. It's 100% great. Think of it this way. What you're getting for a benefit here is you're getting a discount coach. That's the best way to put it. Chris will help you flesh out those details, make your list better, and make you an all-around better player.
Great. Yes, I've helped coach people. We have a team. It's great. Also, to be the discount coach, a title I have never more.
I mean, can I call you the Dollar General?
The Dollar General.
Excuse me. I'm the great value coach. Okay.
Okay.
It's dead. We're
I
done.
believe
It's
you.
over.
That's
it. That's his new nickname. Great value coach.
I'm going to go eat my feelings now so that you can buy me in bulk.
Oh, man.
Oh, so thank you to our patron and thank you to our dear listeners. That being said, all the fun out of the way. What do we got? More fun?
More
news?
fun. Holy cow. Thousand Suns Battle Force box on the heels of World Eaters and Death Guard.
Yeah, it's...
I am glad we're getting it, but holy cow, does this seem fast.
Chaos Release Fire Hose Go.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. I have to say something about this. You said fast, right?
Uh-huh.
We get chaos, literally now, just 1 week right after the other. And they're already announcing, like, they're already giving us demos of like Knights and Chaos Knights, and there's leaks there, and it's crazy how fast they're releasing this stuff just out of the blue.
Yep.
This edition feels like a rubber band to me. It's like we had a bunch in the beginning, and then they stretched out, and then now we're like on the other side of it, where they're like boom, 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 trying to like finish releasing stuff.
Yep. And you know what?
I don't think new edition's coming that soon.
No,
that's not what I mean.
It's not.
But it's more just like
I haven't.
Yeah, they got the Codex release gun set to burst fire or something. I don't know what's going on.
No, you're right. They absolutely do. And I think, I'm going out on a limb. I have no clue. I'm making shit up. But if I had to make a prediction, totally guessing here. Remember how last year, the last quarter, they said we're not releasing anything. We're going to let the competitive environment just have a good time and kind of see where everything lands. I think that's going to happen again, but longer. I think they're fire hosing all this stuff out, and they're like, no, look at all these cool things. And honestly, as customers, we're a little bit of wallet fatigue, right? We're like, man, another codex this quickly. I haven't even figured out how to play Death Guard yet, and now I'm going to have to learn how to fight Thousand Suns. Christ. But where I think that could be good, and I'm hoping this is where they're going, is they're going to say, well, instead of the last 3 months, we're not giving you anything. They're going to say the last 4 or 5 months, hey, we're going to still do points updates, but this is where we're going to let things settle. You've had a bunch of new codexes. You've been satiated with all this other stuff. We're going to go distract ourselves as GW with Age of Sigmar or the new Horus Heresy or whatever else. And as we're dealing with that, now you guys as 40K players get to have a stable environment where there's not a new codex every month of as soon as I figure out how to deal with this, there's another faction that got updated. So now that's the new hotness, because there won't be any new codexes for many months. I'm hoping we'll see an actual stable environment where we're not just trying to whiplash ourselves with what's the new hotness this month because there was a new codex. Also, in doing it this way, it will allow them to as they're making points adjustments, but these points adjustments make sense. Whereas if, again, we adjust points because we just had the Chaos Space Marine Codex come out, and then now that they're out and everyone's playing elitist vehicle, whatever, we put the Guard Codex out. And now because people could be playing Horde, we have to whiplash those points because they don't deal with them very well. Nope. There's no codexes for like 4 or 5 months. That might sound a little boring, but at least as far as competitive play is concerned, that's like okay, we actually get to figure something out. We're not worried about, again, this whiplash. It's just, okay, cool. This is the environment. Let's have a good time. The mission pack, the learning to play with our team and stuff like that is going to be more relevant instead of just what's the new codex.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that's the case. Again, totally making shit up. I have no confirmation on any of that.
So besides T-Suns, they also teased Chaos Knight.
Yes, which looks really good. So arguably they showed a couple of pictures, right? The standalone picture showed 2 new weapons. One of them's a melee Gatling, is what it looks like to me, which is hilarious and crazy, but whatever. It's like a drill bit thing. It also had another gun on it, but what was interesting to me is they showed us like basically 2 new weapons. Sounds cool. If you look at the picture where it was like a dynamic battlefield pose thing, the other knight that's in that picture also has what I think is a 3rd gun. So I think we actually got like 3 new weapon options. Sounds great. Could just be the same stat line, slightly different, plastic pieces, but we'll have to wait for the data sheet to find out on that.
It's interesting that they have a flamer. After early in the edition, we got the nerf to flamers for Overwatch from Titanic units.
Yes.
It's not bad. I'm just saying that, like, its efficacy was immediately changed at the beginning of the edition. So to see it on a new model, we'll see how they stat it to try to make it good. I don't know.
Yep. And that's where we don't know for sure yet, but I'm hoping that's okay. Because before, when they had flamers, they were pointing them, assuming you could Overwatch. Well, it turns out we took that away. So now all our old flamers maybe aren't as good as they were supposed to be.
Give the flamer
this one,
indirect fire and ignores cover. It'll make it interesting.
Yeah. So like now that we've known from like day one, they can't Overwatch at this because it's Titanic. That means that whether it's number of shots or strength or AP or whatever, this flamer should be more appropriate to the current rule set. So yes, flamer on Titanic sounds kind of dumb, but because we knew it was dumb going into this, arguably it might not be, because again, we knew that going into it, so we can adjust whatever numbers on the stat line to make it make more sense.
Yeah. Oh, and don't forget the new T-Sun stuff is going to go on pre-order this Saturday, right?
Sure is. And you can get it on our website for 15% off while supplies last. I've already got an email from my GW rep basically saying that the Battle Force box is going to be a hard limit run. So I'm sure they're going to run out pretty quickly. And many of your other local game stores probably will too. Get it while you can.
Yep. And the Battle Force has what looks like 2 units of those beetle bots. That's what I'm calling them. Scarab boys.
Of 2. So there's actually 4 in the box. Very cool.
Ooh, that's spicy.
Yeah.
Yep. And then there'll be all the other stuff too, codexes and data cards and combat patrols coming out at the same time instead of separate like we've seen on some of the others.
Yep. If your library card is expired, this faction is for you.
I'm done. I can't.
You guys are going to have to learn the lore, okay? It's not my fault.
God. Oh, boy. All right. Well, at any rate, you can find the links to everything that we've mentioned in the show notes below. You can go to our website, get yourself a discount. Go check it out. It's another way you can support us, too. It's fun. It's nice. You get discounts. It's great. Go do it. All right. We got anything else we want to talk about this mid-break?
Nope. Let's get to the cool stuff.
Ooh,
Or the
Death
least cool
Guard.
stuff.
I mean, Death Guard. All right. Here we go to the last part of our episode. Are we ready to talk more Death Guard?
I am. I've been staring at this book for so
I don't
long.
know. It's giving me indigestion, so I think so.
All right, so on theme with Death Guard, let's start with what stinks. So as far as data sheets, whether we talk about the internet likes it or just in general, when spoilers were happening, I heard like people in the store talk about it. There's a few things that I think are overhyped. Lord of Virulence. I want to like him so much. The reality is he's not what you want. So he's a Terminator character. He's got a sweet little flamer on him. His ability is re-rolling for the whole unit. Well, that sounds really good, right?
Rerolling hits? Rerolling wounds?
It's hits, I believe. You have me questioning it now. No, reroll wound. But it's only for ranged attacks. Okay.
Okay.
But here's again, I want to love it, right? Full rerolls, no restrictions other than being ranged attacks. God, I want to like him so much. You read the data sheet. I read the data sheet. I'm like, God, he's gonna be crazy. And then I read like what he can be attached to. He's a Terminator character, so he can be attached to the two Terminator units, Blight Lords and Death Shrouds. Well, it turns out one of them has flamers, I guess, which is pretty decent with the rerolls, but also their job is to fight things. Half the time, literally the game I played yesterday, he was like afraid to shoot the flamers because it would reduce his charge, and he needs to make it in because he's going to do way more damage in melee than shooting. Well, let's go to the other unit. You got the not Death Shrouds, the Blight Lords. Well, now you've got like a mixed bag of weapons, and also they're still Terminators, so they're meant to fight over shoot. It's all right. And then like my most frustrating part is like, it doesn't even apply to himself. His gun already has twin linked. They could have just left that whole keyword off there and it would have been the same thing. Right? Like,
it has twin linked. Why?
Yeah. So I'm not, okay. Effectively, it's the same, right? Like give him twin link, don't give him twin link. Arguably, it's the same. But the fact that he has twin linked with this ability objectively means at some point when they were designing this model, there was an amount of points. I don't care if it was like 2 points or like 12 points. I paid an amount of points for that twin linked keyword that is effectively redundant. The only time it's not redundant is like, okay, I guess he gets to reroll to wound even when he's not leading a unit.
So,
okay, sure, but
but
who cares?
It doesn't matter. Yeah, because I think his ability, if it just said one leading a unit, then it makes sense. But still, I guess flamers. I don't know. There's not a lot of -1 to hit or like difficult to hit stuff going on lately, so it's less valid. If we run into like a meta that's full of like, you can't hit this, -1, blah blah blah. Okay, then you bring the flamers. It makes sense, but I don't see its place right now.
So
not when you have other options.
Yeah, you're right. And while I'm shitting on him, if you take him, I'm not necessarily mad about it. So he has a second ability. And basically at the start of your shooting phase, you get to select one enemy unit within 30 and visible to this character, specifically this model, until the end of the phase, which means only shooting phase. Friendly Death Guard ranged attacks get to reroll hit rolls of 1. Okay, sounds reasonably solid. Here's my issue. He's got a flamer. It doesn't apply. He's auto hitting. The unit you're probably attaching him to has a bunch of flamers. It doesn't apply to them. So it's for the rest of the army. Okay, cool. He's a support character. I want to be on board. Well, it turns out Death Guard is this like mixed bag of like Plague Marines have like a flamer and a melta-gun and a plasma gun and a like all of these like different ranges. And are we going to be in place? And with the like the way the train setups are now, like, is he going to be able to see a thing that a bunch of other things are actually able to see at the same time? Sure, maybe that's in the middle, but like, again, it's this ability that on paper, I read it and I'm like, holy cow, this is amazing. And then you like finish reading the codex and you go back and you're like, man, I don't know that that's enough. So
you never know.
This is the reason why I'm like, again, he's not bad, but also, hey, it's not actually like as good as I thought it was going to be when I read the data sheet for the first time.
Yeah. So what else do you not like?
Oh, the Tallyman. I hate him so much. Okay, so first off, back in the day, Tallyman was like a named character. He's no longer, and he hasn't necessarily been for a while, so you could spam him. But basically, he has, ever since they made him non-epic, air quotes, he's been like a CP farm ability, which is for most factions, not all, most factions, I think is really underwhelming because, again, turn 1, I get marked for death. There's no chance I'm getting it. So like, really, it's marked for CP. That's fine. I'm pitching tactical objectives that I just can't make for CP. And if I do make both of my things so I can't pitch it, in theory, this is nice. But also, if I'm scoring like crazy, am I mad that I don't have the extra CP? I'm winning. I'm getting the points. It's fine. So that's mostly underwhelming. The other thing he got was the old Mortarion ability, which I think was really good, is now trash. And the reason I say that is because it has no flexibility like it used to. So the ability I'm referring to is the ability to ignore modifiers. So previously, it was kind of wildly good, right? Because it was, no, you're -1 to hit and wound on your sanguinary guard doesn't apply here. Or like, there was a bunch of stuff where you could make it useful, but because you got to choose different abilities on Morty's table, it was like, I only chose that thing when it was applicable, felt good. And then when it wasn't applicable, I switched to this other thing. Well, not only is there no flexibility here, but like you're paying points to only affect Plague Marines now instead of everything. That's already worse. And then you have no flexibility. You're spending 50, 60 points on a character that might not even do anything. And when he does do something, it's like only Plague Marines.
I guess it begs the question of how good a Plague Marine centered only list would be. Because some factions you can basically battle line spam and be good. And so if you did that, I could see why you would bring them to just buff those things, but I don't know if it's really worth it.
So I'm going to start
large in the codex.
Yeah. I'm going to start
the
with
internal balance. I mean,
yeah. I'm going to start with it's not. That being said, a thing I want to mention is starting with this review, and I might do it on others if you guys end up liking it, whatever. But I put together a couple lists with my favorite detachments. One of them is effectively battle line focused. It has non-battle line stuff, but we're going to put them on our Patreon. If you want to see some of the crazy ideas that I have, go on there, check them out. But even when I made, as it relates to this conversation, even when I made a Plague Marine centric list, and I actually love the spamming of those guys, afflicting basically everything on the board. It's so good. I still cannot. I don't know that I'd spend the points on Tallyman if he was like 10 points. There's almost everything in the game that if it's cheap enough, you'll take it. And I'm still saying, I don't know that I'd take Tallyman. because he's like, I can put up to 2 characters in my Plague Marines. Why do I want Tallyman? Even at 10 points, I could just put another more useful character, right? I don't like Tallyman. I think he's absolutely awful. And the unfortunate answer is, I think he remains awful until they change his data sheet. I don't think there's any amount of points adjustments that make him but I want to take him. They could make him cheap enough that it's like, well, I take a Tallyman or this enhancement, neither of which I care about. Okay, then maybe you take one. But I can't think of any points other than 0 where I would be excited to take him.
Gotcha. How about the Defiler?
Okay, so I bring this up because World Eaters, I said Defiler was so broken, he probably needs a rules adjustment. And I somewhat stand by that statement. However, it's hilarious to see how far the Defiler falls in Death Guard. He's pretty bad. First off, he is a toughness point higher. Positive, love it, sounds great. Death Guard on theme, good stuff. Well, it turns out he's slower. I don't love that, but also he's got some guns. Maybe that's not the worst. He's tougher. He could stand on an objective and do this big crab thing of don't touch my objective. Okay, so we're not mad yet. But then also, while he is cheaper, because he's slower, he's not that much cheaper. What's his ability, you ask? Is it as broken as World Eaters? Well, it's after he shoots, the rest of the army ignores cover against one of the things he shot at.
Oh, God. So that's
it. That's the whole thing.
For the Defiler to have basically a suppression squad? No.
It's just, but you'll get to ignore cover with your indirect fire guns, I guess. That's not the worst. That's like the only thing that I can see possibly makes the Defiler worth taking. And even then, when he is over half the points of just take another Plague Crawler, why do I care about cover?
Watch Plague Crawlers are so good. They've always been good. Forever.
They've always been good. But like, how do you... The Defiler is barely more takeable than the Tallyman. Technically, again, I thought of like a single scenario where I wouldn't hate taking one. And that's if I'm spamming like three Plague Crawlers, I can go up, give it ignore cover, and then all 3 while doing indirect fire still ignore the cover that I auto give them for being indirect. That's like the only time. So he is technically takeable, but by like this much. He is so bad and so expensive for what he does. He's pretty craptastic. So as far as detachments, let me get away from complaining about data sheets. There's a bunch of attachments in here. Some of them are very themey. Some of them are powered by the internet alone, I guess. But there's a couple of rough ones. Obviously, the Virulent Vectorum, which is the new take kind of on the... I'm not sure if this is the one that's supposed to be like the indexed attachment. I think it is a name, but also I'd kind of argue the other one is more... where you change what your plague does is more relevant to what the index used to be. Whatever. Virulent Vectorum basically gives your whole army sticky objective.
Okay.
Ew.
You're right.
They smeared poop on it.
Yeah. And for some factions, this sounds pretty good, right? Like Aaron's reaction, like, oh, okay, because he's thinking about other factions. Well, it turns out this faction doesn't care. Like, first off, we're slow as hell. What are we going to run away from this detachment? I can't if I wanted to. I'm spending a whole turn getting from this side of the objective to that side of the objective.
And you're still not off it.
Right. Like, also, we're tough. The whole point of the Codex is to run to the middle, stand on an objective and say, I'm too tough, you don't have enough bullets. What? Why do I care? Also, I have extra cheap Poxwalkers, or if you play the Demon Detachment, I've got the Beast of Nurgle, which is surprisingly cheap and crazy tough for his points. I don't mind leaving something on my home objective. A single unit of Poxwalkers is cheaper than a Lone Op Lieutenant, and also like screens out better and like has a bunch of wounds with damage breaks, so you have to have a real number of bullets to kill them. Yeah, they're not tough, but also like, did I need to give up my whole detachment roll to give Sticky so that I could not take one unit of Poxwalkers as I run away from my home objective? Because that's all it's doing.
It does not make sense.
The strats are okay.
That makes me feel bad for this detachment.
Okay, so because it relates to this detachment, I'm going to talk about one of the, I'll call them neutral detachments, one of the detachments that are in this book that I don't hate and I don't love. They're just reasonable. There's a detachment that basically gives you 3 free units of Poxwalkers. Min 10 man, but just you get to play like 180 points over the limit compared to everyone else. They're all playing 2,000 points. You're playing 2,180. Like,
yeah, I mean,
why do I need sticky objective? Yeah, right. But like, why do I need sticky objective when I could just get a free unit of Poxwalkers to hold my home?
Yeah, free screen spam, like whatever.
Yeah. Like, why would I ever play this detachment when I could get 1 free unit of Poxwalkers to hold my home objective and then still get 2 other units of Poxwalkers to do behind enemy lines, table quarters, etc. Like, the stratagems have to be so good in this detachment that's why you're taking them. And while they're not bad, I don't dislike the stratagems. They are not so impressive that I would basically give up an entire detachment rule. Why does this detachment exist?
Yeah.
So, moving on. So now the internet, and by the internet, I mostly mean Reddit, thinks the detachment Mortarian's Hammer is the best. So, it does a couple of things. First off, and this is the reason most people like it, is it allows you to afflict any unit that is outside 12 of all of your stuff. Depending on the size of the battle, you actually get to afflict 2 for a full 2,000 point game. And you get to change those, like just last for the battle round, and then you get to pick another 2. So it's kind of like Weird Oath, but like instead of rerolls, you're doing like a toughness debuff.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not bad. I understand why that sounds really appealing. And before I read the Codex, I also thought it sounded appealing. But it turns out the number of almost infinite ways to afflict your opponent's army. Why do I need any of this? It's such a waste. My basic troop, Plague Marines, they get to shoot at a thing. And they don't even have to shoot everything. They can shoot one guy at a thing, and that unit's afflicted until the start of my next turn. You've got blight drones that have a chance to afflict a whole area worth of stuff. It's like a bad roll, right? But I could just accidentally afflict like 3 units with a single drone. And that's on top of, like I said, the Lord of Poxes that increases the aura on my troops to be surprisingly big. Like, all of these things, I could afflict basically my opponent's entire army with so many tricks that don't involve a detachment rule. So as far as the detachment rule is concerned, there is exactly one time where this detachment seems even possibly playable. And that's when, if I really, like, let's say we get the new mission pack and the home objective is the only thing that matters. First off, I don't think that's going to happen. That's a terrible choice. But let's say it is. Being able to afflict a Lone Op Lieutenant in the back that I can't see and can't target in order to do my like 6-inch deep strike with Blight Lord Terminators. Sure. But that's like a whole detachment for one fancy deep strike on turn 2. Again, this is another looks good on paper, but is absolutely kind of unplayable garbage. The other thing is this has an enhancement, and I would argue this enhancement is the only thing that currently makes Plaguecasters playable. So, without going too deep here, Plaguecasters have a shaken ability to where they like slow them down, the -2 move and charge. That's pretty solid, right? We love that ability. But it turns out that ability is attached to a psychic weapon, which is a 12-inch range. Which means by the time you slow them down by 2 inches, I don't care if they're Centurions with a 4-inch move. You slow them down by 2, they still technically get to attempt to charge against you. Are they going to make it? Probably not. But like, let's go to a more realistic scenario. Well, your average model is a 6-inch move. And that's assuming it's like infantry. Reduce it to 4, they're at least 12 away. Let's say they're exactly 12 away. Okay, move 4, that's still a shorter charge than deep striking. It's not very good. But this enhancement increases the range of that, so you can actually slow them down before they're, in your face. Okay, this enhancement makes Plaguecasters playable. But the reality is, not only is this a mediocre enhancement, because you're forcing a single Plaguecaster to be playable by spending extra points. Again, it's attached to this detachment, which is already redundant. I get why it's the internet saying it's attractive, but I sure hope that nobody plays this detachment, because this I actually think is less playable than the virulent one we just talked about.
It's an easy trap. It's an easy trap to fall into, though.
Sure. Yeah. Again, I get why the internet likes it. But again, if you actually finish reading the codex and you're not looking at like 3 out of 30 spoilers, I cannot see why you would actually play this attachment.
So what do you like?
Okay, so a whole bunch of things, but also, because again, this is a very stable codex. There is so much in here that I'm like, but you have the flexibility, it's reasonably point costed. There's a bunch of stuff I like in here, but I narrowed it down.
Is this codex what you're looking for in a man, Chris?
We could use some baby wipes, but sure. To keep it fair, I narrowed it down to the same as my least favorites. I narrowed it down to 3 data sheets I like and 2 detachments that I like. There's more than that, but we'll try to keep it fair and balanced. So rhinos, surprisingly good here. People were I heard people talking about rhinos with world leaders, and I'm not saying it's bad, but also I'm not excited there. But here, I love rhinos. Rhinos, if you disembark from the rhinos and the rhino shoots at something, it turns out whatever disembarked gets full rerolls to wound against the thing you shot at.
It turns out it has to shoot at it too. Is that how it works?
Yes. So if they both shoot at the same thing, but to be fair, the rhino comes with 4 guns. You only got to shoot 1 gun over at the thing you want to shoot at in order to get the rerolls.
But it's not a Razorback, it's a Rhino back.
Yep, it's just a regular Rhino. And the reality is you're probably putting Plague Marines in here, right? With a couple of characters, they up the unit capacity to 12 so that you could have your 10-man Plague Marines with 2 characters. Not mad about that. Seems fine.
Yeah, they took the toilet out of the Rhino. They didn't need that.
Yep. So, but no, the fact that I disembark 10-ish Plague Marines with a couple of characters and I get full rerolls to wound. Well, now my mixed bag of weapons with mixed range and my characters that might have shooting or might not, or these psychic powers, whatever. This seems crazy efficient because it turns out the Rhino is still cheap. It kept all my stuff alive. And if you don't kill the Rhino, now you're actually penalized as my opponent. Right?
Also, it's fast as hell. As far as a Death Guard player is concerned.
Correct, because it did not get reduced in speed. It is, I don't think so. but it is still relatively fast. Still a 10-inch move, feels good. It might actually be 12. Whatever, it's fast.
Honestly, like as an orc player, I think if you filled up a bunch of rhinos and just advance, don't even get out. Just slam it and then wait till next turn. Like,
yep. Because either they kill rhinos, in which case you don't care. I just dumped out a bunch of plague marines in your face and I'm on the objective. I'm auto-seeing you. I actually get to do real damage next turn because I'm so close. This is a great move. And if you don't kill the rhinos, so help me, I get full rerolls to wound. And this like 80-point model is hilariously good.
Yeah.
Rhinos are amazing.
Also, top of 2, if you're going first, that means you like immediately jump into scoring because you popped out every time they killed a rhino.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, this is arguably this is a Plague Marine centric faction. So the fact that you're spamming battle lines, so you might pull the like secondary missions of like get bonuses to shoot and do actions, etc. The fact that this supports them further is super good here. Moving on, the Malefic Blight Hauler. Wow, in a faction that like has a ton of restrictions as far as like gain bonus if they're afflicted, this model doesn't care.
I have a question though. I want to say something about it. Blight Haulers are already amazing if you pull Marked for Death, because you're just like, oh, I really don't care what you pick.
Yeah, Blight Hauler. Okay, it's Death Guard, right? So you're a little slow, but as long as you can get to it, Blight Haulers are amazing. First off, they've got like a multi-melta and a rocket launcher, and then also are acceptable in melee because they got the little mouth teeth thing, right? Like, is reasonable, but like it's Death Guard, so like their multi-melta has lethal hits for no reason. You're welcome. Okay, that's already better, but like its ability, which I kind of think should probably have like the restriction of if shooting at an afflicted unit, but it doesn't. It just says if you're shooting at a monster or vehicle, you get +1 to hit and +1 to wound all the time. This is amazing. It's not a strength 9 multi-melta. It's a strength presumably at least 12. Also, you still have lethal hits. You still have the fact that your whole faction reduces their toughness. It's so good. The fact that like you got that like T10 Dreadnought. Oh, well, that sucks. I'm going to take my strength 9 multi-melta, and because you're afflicted, I'm going to wound you on 3s. Also, I'm hitting on 2s.
Malcolm.
Like, so good.
Kind of fixes Melta's wound roll, I guess.
Yeah, this is hilariously good. And they're, again, reasonably pointed. They're pretty cheap. Happy about that. Because the internet's been talking about it, most of you probably already heard. But like, since we're talking about Blight Haulers, there was one hilarious change that we don't know if it's a print error or just decided to do a thing for points or for balance. But there's a lot of descriptions about how Blight Haulers come in units of 3. They have come in 1 to 3 for a long time. This codex that changed to 1 to 2. I don't know why. So I don't know where exactly because I didn't look at it, but somewhere in the fluff, I think in this codex, it talked about coming in units of 3, even though the data sheet later in the codex says 1 to 2. That's what I was told. I haven't confirmed that. But also that's like the one thing that I guess they got air quotes nerfed on is you can only bring 6 of them now instead of 9. It's fine.
That's quite a parking lot either way.
Yeah, no, super good. Okay, so the last thing, I don't know that this is my favorite, but I'm putting it in my favorites mostly because I was arguing with somebody about this, so I'm being petty. In this codex, I actually think Hellbrutes are very good. Hellbrutes, for the most part, I think have been a little underwhelming. And in this one, it's not crazy. I'm not saying, holy cow, spam this guy, he's awesome. But I don't think anyone should sleep on this guy. I think he is better than most people are giving him credit for. So first off, he's tough, He is still fast despite being Nurgle, right? He's got a 7-inch move. Pretty solid. Again, that's slower than like a normal Dreadnought, but still faster than most of the rest of your list. T9, 2-up save, 8 wounds. Reasonable. He gained the new ability that all Hellbrutes are gaining, to where if you take 2 melee weapons, he gets +2 attacks to both of those weapons. Seems solid, but they always should have had that, so I'm not going to jump for joy for that just yet. However, his other abilities, each time he makes an attack against an afflicted unit, this is shooting or melee, as long as they're afflicted, he gets +1 to wound. So, again, Hellbrutes aren't that expensive. I could see them going down a few points and I wouldn't be mad about it, but they're still acceptably costed. And whether you do melee Hellbrute or whether you do shooting Hellbrute, the ability to, I afflicted that thing, its toughness is 1 lower. Also, I get +1 to wound against it now, and it's not restricted to vehicles or anything like that. It's very solid. I actually think Hellbrutes are like the secret thing that's in this codex of no one's going to like it until they play it. And then even when they play it and love it, and they now make it a staple in their list, nobody on the internet is going to talk about it because it's not flashy enough to actually get excited about. So again, I don't know that it's one of my favorite, but I had to mention it because to me, it's the secret tech that's in here. Okay, on to detachments. There are 2 detachments that I think are great. Again, I made lists as example. I haven't play tested these lists. They could be better, but I think we are building those lists. They looked extremely good to me. Like out of the box, looked very competitive. The first one is the Nurgle detachment, the one that allows you to take the demons that are in the codex. So the ability for that detachment is demons within 7 inches of Death Guard units gain the contagion range ability. So that whole afflict nonsense. In addition to that, the demons give Death Guard units within 7 an additional 3 inches to their contagion range. Okay, pretty solid. I don't know that this is crazy, but it's pretty solid. However, we're going to move on to when you actually start building the list. It turns out the Great Unclean One is so good. Also, and we're going to do a whole episode on this later. I put it in the notes. But the Great Unclean One is a great example of data sheets that lie to you. Because if you look at the data sheet, you read it and you're like, it's a weapon's only strength 10, but it's not. It turns out it's not strength 10. Why? Because we're afflicting things. So they're 1 lower toughness, which really equates to what if I'm 1 higher strength? So like, is it actually strength 10 or is it actually strength 11? Because it turns out if I'm swinging at T11, I'm winning on 4s despite being strength 10. So there's a bunch of these little things that like I think are actually super good. Being able to increase that range on contagion in the early turns, like turn 1 and turn 2, depending on if you go first or second, I think is actually huge. Turn 1 6-inch aura of debuff, especially when I gave the example of Hellbrutes, but there's a whole bunch of other things in the codex that but if they're afflicted, gain bonus. Well, I'm going to take my little Death Guard guys up, right? Like a Rhino, let's say, who's still fast, technically Death Guard. And I'm going to run this Rhino 10 inches up. And as long as the demon keeps up, probably still in cover, within 7 of the Rhino, well, now the Rhino has a 6-inch aura of afflicted. That's a pretty big threat range on turn 1 in order to afflict things to gain a bunch of bonuses on my shooting attacks from the back. This is a very solid detachment. I like the stratagems. The enhancements are pretty solid. I don't think I actually fit any of them into the list, but again, after some play testing, you could probably make some adjustments and fit some of those in there. I think this detachment is pretty good. Then we go to probably my favorite detachment, Death Lord's Chosen. You want mortal wounds? Take some mortal wounds. Take some more mortal wounds. You got to roll. You might get lucky. But also, basically every unit that is afflicted during your opponent's command phase, which is very relevant here, if they're afflicted, they have to roll basically a reverse or like a leadership test against 6. There's ways to manipulate that, but if they roll under 6 or less, they take mortal wounds. So now, these giant auras that we talked about being able to Lord of Poxes or just Plague Marine shooting to afflict a thing, all of these things, I don't have to do any damage. I will do damage, but I don't technically have to do any damage. I just shoot a bunch of stuff. And as long as I hit you, as long as I get close enough to you, basically your whole list has to take a battle shock test during your command phase. And for everyone you fail, take mortal wounds.
That's so good.
You're right. I put this list together. It's in the Patreon if you want to take a look at that. But out of the box, dealing this many mortal wounds, I don't care if they're knights. I don't care if they're MSU. Holy cow, does this counter MSU? Just take a bucket of mortal wounds. That's the list. It's so good.
I don't like that at all.
It's so good. And the fact that you have so we didn't really talk about Plague Burst Crawler because it's always good. Who'da thunk? But Plague Burst Crawler has a way to accidentally splash extra mortal wounds. There's a couple of other ways to get mortal wounds out of this thing. And that's on top of all your actual regular guns. Again, if you're spamming, whether it's Plague Marines to afflict a bunch of stuff or, adding the contagion range, whatever,
I might have had Blight Hauler and Plague Burst Crawler confused. That's fine.
Yeah, but these are super good. This detachment is probably my favorite. Again, I don't play Chaos. Hard pass. But this list seems extremely good.
But if I did.
And consistent.
But see, that's why I don't like it. Because my new list is 4-up invul spam. And this is how you get around that.
Yep. Just doesn't care.
It's good, but that's why I don't like it.
Yeah. Last little note. I'll try to be quick about this. Another reason why I like this codex so much is because Mortarion is still good. If you put Mortarion in the list, no one's going to say a thing, right? Yeah, that makes sense. Play Mortarion. Totally good. Reasonably point costed. We're all happy. But there's so much good, consistent stuff in here. Both of the lists I built don't have Mortarion. And it turns out I don't feel bad that I didn't take him because he's so good. Why wouldn't I? But I also don't feel bad that I chose not to take him because the list still feels good. The fact that Mortarion is a tactical choice and reasonably good without being the auto include or so but don't take him. Super happy about that. Right.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, I like it. Seems like with all of these new codexes we're getting when they involve Primarchs of any degree, they're making them optional, and I am okay with that.
Yep. And it's really hard to do, arguably, with Primarchs. There's been, notoriously, Primarchs have always kind of been, because they're so powerful, a few point changes of a minor ability change with a new codex. Primarchs across the board, Imperium and Chaos, tend to be an auto include. If you're playing Ultramarines, you're playing Yeoman, you better do it. If you're, why would you play, Angron? His ability got nerfed or whatever. I don't talk to me about that. You're wrong. But it's they tend to be very divisive of no, it turns out Lionel's too expensive. You can't take him right now.
Yeah, it's always take or never take.
Right. And this is kind of objectively in a way of no, but you could take him. No one's mad about it. Makes sense. Is solid. Don't take him. No one's mad about it. He's solid, but also he's still a Primarch level points. You can get a reasonable, acceptable amount of good stuff in exchange. happy about all this. All right, that's what I got. Again, it's very stable. There's a bunch of good stuff. I didn't even get to all the things I think are cool because so much of it is so reasonably good. Take your time with this codex. There is no out of the gate, here's the right answer. I don't care what the internet says, they're wrong. Like, it's going to take a while to get through all the data sheets, to figure out what it is you like, to figure out what it is you want to, what works well in your meta, that sort of thing. Take your time with this codex. It's going to be a minute till you get it down. That being said, know that the whole codex is very solid. You don't have to worry about big point swings with updates. You don't have to worry about some data sheet going absolute to crap. We don't expect there to be any like rules adjustments.
Don't say that's going to crap. Don't say that. We've just explained how solid and regular it is.
Well, speaking of solid and regular, again, check out our Patreon. I've got a couple of lists in there for those Death Guard players to try out. It's a really solid basis. Again, feel free to adjust those. I haven't got to play test them. I've only played against, this new codex a little bit. So I don't know that they're perfect, but they're definitely in the right direction and they're a good place to kind of jump off.
Yeah, okay. So speaking of smearing, is it hobby time?
It's hobby time.
It's a Death Guard episode. What do you want me to do?
Oh, so gross.
Look, someone taught me about word choice, and it's a problem.
I gotta take 3 showers after this episode.
It's fine.
Oh,
what you been working on?
What I've been working on? Well, I'm still in cram mode for the GT. I primed some stuff. I have to rebase some of my orcs because the knobs are on 32s instead of 25s now. Yeah, it's fun.
Oh, just wait for the comments. Actually, they were 28s.
Oh my God. No, they weren't. The run thirds were 28s and they went to 32s, but the Grot stayed on 25s. If everyone wants to argue, I at least know my faction. It's fine. I'm expecting people to argue with me about it at the tournament, so I'm kind of trying to prepare myself. But besides that, I haven't done a lot. I mean, it's a lot of work, and I kind of abuse my stuff and throw it in a pile because I'm an orc player. So now I'm like, okay, I guess I got to fix these bits. Hold on. Oh, that guy doesn't have a head. Let me glue some other head on him real quick. So it's cramp time.
Yes, and while you are still trying to get all the hobbying done for the GT, I will say over the last weekish, you've gotten several games in, which is good for getting ready for the GT, but it'll also taken away a little hobby time.
Yeah. I think allegedly Aaron painted some Fallout stuff. Excuse me.
I like how you said allegedly.
Well, you painted, what is it? A power armor guy from Fallout Factions. Gold. Like the
I painted entire faction of Brotherhood of Steel gold.
Excuse me, that's like 3 models, okay? I painted like 5 times that for the demo set. I don't want to hear it.
You're right.
I also think you literally just copied your Blood Angel scheme. You damn cheater.
Right, I did. Listen, if it works, why change it?
See, I believe in this thing called original sin, and you should believe in a thing called original thought, where you put a different color on your army sometimes.
Nah, see, I painted my knight.
Man,
you are what color was the knight? Still white and gold, like all of your jump pack guys?
I bet you like plain lays, you know?
You know, the worst part is I do.
Okay, I didn't mean to hurt you that bad. Sorry. Okay, so have you done any hobby stuff, Chris? Or have you just been reading? Working on your literature skills.
Mostly that. Between the multiple Codex reviews and then also helping some of the team guys get ready for Midwest Conquest, I have not gotten a ton of hobby done.
It's fine. So, since this is the Death Guard episode, I had to come up with a stupid question for you guys.
Oh, God.
I also had to come up with my own answer to my stupid question. But, so say you are now a member of the Death Guard, and as a requirement, you have to add one, like, a demon mouth and one demon butthole to your body somewhere. Where are you putting them? They can't go anywhere an existing orifice is.
I have to put a mouth and an extra butthole somewhere.
Uh-huh. Yeah, where do you put it? Where do you put it? Your choice.
I disagree with the premise already. I, in fact, would like to put them where, like, one goes on one ear, the other goes on the other ear, so I can just in and out.
What if we add some abilities to them so that they're interesting? One is like a trash cannon, right? You can like blow stuff out of it at like lethal speed. And the other one is like a vacuum cleaner, so you can like Kirby shit up. Just suck up
putting them
stuff.
both in my hands.
That's what I was thinking. I was put one in each hand, so I could like one side can be like the go away button, and the other one can just like suck everything up, like Moroku style, for you fucking weebs out there. It'll be great.
I guess
wait,
in that case, good.
Go for it.
I was going to say, I think I would put the trash cannon in my back so I can give them both barrels. Probably the answer.
Oh yeah.
I was just going to ask, can I move my existing mouth and butthole to another location?
I think you have to request that. You can put in your form with the tally man because he's not playable.
He's just the admin guy.
He's literally an admin guy.
You're right.
And then here comes another question. Is like, can you like suck up like the bullets that are getting shot at you and then just like poop shoot them back at them? So like you suck up like regular bolter rounds and put them through yourself and shoot them back as poopy bolter rounds. Like, can you?
This is how they cast plagues on people.
Why?
But I don't know.
It's magical nonsense. I don't know.
I feel like if that's the case, what is this? The Wanted movie? Like you're gonna have to like straight line that shit, right? You're not gonna curve the bullet. It's fine.
Yeah, but if you catch it in yourself and then you like shoot it back out at a different time, or maybe you could do that. I don't know. Nurgle's crazy. It's also like super open-ended.
Yeah, it is.
They've got like tongues with mouths on the tongue with a tongue coming out of that mouth that was on the tongue, and they'll just like do that forever. There's like some fractal madness going on. It's fine.
You know, I feel like orcs would actually love fighting Death Guard because like every Death Guard model I'm looking at has extra teeth. Like, why are you fighting the Imperium? Go fight the Death Guard. You'll be rich.
Yeah, the extra teeth thing. Although I don't know, they're fungal, so maybe it's like a weakness against Death Guard. You know, they're like already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe I don't know. See, I don't know who has the innate weakness there. Because maybe to Death Guard, they're like, man, the orcs are like this staph infection we can't get rid of. Or the Death Guard are like, sweet, we have this staph infection we can't get rid of. Like, I don't know how that goes. And they're green, so like they already fit in.
Right. So on this note, I do have a funny anecdote. I was playing against Death Guard yesterday, and I was playing with my Necrons, and I made a joke that just tickled myself. So he was talking about like, oh, contagion this, contagion that, like afflicting your units, and I'm like, I'm robots, man. The only virus that matters to me is the fire virus. And he just looked at me like, what do you mean? And I'm like, okay, you don't fully understand orcs, but also it's like the thing that makes them go crazy. and they call it the flare virus, which is funny because Death Guard do all these gross things. But like, no, I'm afraid of a virus, just not yours.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. The flare virus doesn't originate from a specific faction, I don't think.
So the flare virus is basically like spam hacker code that messes with the Necrons' like minds.
Yeah, it goes back to the Horus Heresy, though. Like, it's old.
Yes. So I don't know that I won't say it originates from anything, but arguably it only affects the Necrons because it turns out
I see.
Other people are robots. So
you're right. I thought that the Chaos Marines also snuck some scrap code stuff into Imperial stuff to scramble it, but maybe it's not the flare virus. I'm wrong about that.
Yeah, I don't think that's the flare virus. I could be wrong. It is a computer virus, so arguably it might be the same thing. But in reference to the flare virus affecting like a being, the only ones it seems to affect is Necrons because they're actually just computer people.
I assume because like knowledge has been lost in 40K, and this is for all the programming nerds out there, that basically there are no viruses actually written in code in 40K. It's just people who don't know how to code putting bad code in stuff.
I mean, close enough. That'll do.
Yeah, like this hammer goes in that engine, right? Yeah, as far as I know. Like, same thing.
Oh my god!
I don't understand. This Alt F4 combo is not working on the computer. What's wrong? Oh yeah, you can like Windows Shift Alt plus minus up down arrow. Start flipping some screens upside down. That's a really fun problem to give people. Really confusing some.
All right.
Anyway,
well, I appreciate everyone listening in. Check out our Patreon and the pre-orders going up this Saturday, and we will catch you next time with actually not a Codex review. We got a week break. Hooray!
Also, everyone shower.
It's okay to do so now. All right, everybody. We'll see you later.
Hey, everybody. It's Aaron. I want to thank you again for tuning in for this episode of Gopher's Workshop with us, hanging out and listening. Remember, leave a 5-star review. Let us know what you think. And if you feel like supporting us, you can always go to Patreon in the show notes below. Thanks. Till next time.